enough already, right? It's quite a bit, they talk about the money. Like, you're in the church, you're not supposed to talk so much about the money, right? Well, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about our heart, right? Where's our heart stand? Where exactly where we're standing. So this is a yes.
Or in a way, it is like a mirror, just to compare what my thinking
Yeah.
is, how my feelings,
Exactly.
my heart, my kind of. It's just a reflection.
Mhm.
Reflection is I have always opportunity to look at and to
Exactly.
see where I am.
Exactly. So test yourself. Like we should test ourselves to see, are we, really what we are saying that we are.
Yeah, if I may say, how we use the time and money shows where are the priorities in life. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And before we continue, I would say, what, in my life, I saw, I come across with some people that had a lot and were, eager to give it to the church, and I also not necessarily. Well, I mean, they were eager to give away. How can I say, to pay the tithes or whatever. But also I come across to people that they had a little, and it was really hard for them to apart from whatever means that they had. So anyway, we'll go through the lesson and we'll go through and we'll find out what are we asked for. You wanted to say? Okay. So offerings of gratitude and care for the poor. Okay, see, these are the two things. Offers of the gratitude and care for the poor. So again, we are not talking about the money itself, but also how that will affect us, the giving. So memory text, what shall I render unto the Lord for all his benefits towards me? So what shall I do? He gives me everything that I have, and so what shall I give? There is another place. What shall I give to the Lord? Should I, burn myself or give it everything? Is that what he's asking? What is that God asking and why? So our self-denying benevolence, our willing offerings, are to give evidence, now listen to this, that the truth has been doing its work upon our hearts. There you go. This is the key element here in this lesson, that this is the evidence. Whatever I do with the means that I have, whatever my attitude towards this is the evidence that the truth has been doing its work upon our or my heart. So whatever I do, whatever I show, and what like in my life, it is the evidence, is the truth that I, saying that I'm, what is the word I'm looking for? That I'm, professing. Yeah, there is the truth that I profess is actually doing a change in my heart, and this is actually the proof. So, first part, the Creator owns all. So of what are we reminded when we consider the ownership of the world? So now, Psalm 95, Proverbs 3:9, Corinthians 6:19 is telling us what? In short, what these texts are telling us. Yes.
I mean, God, everything is God. I mean, does He really need us to do something for Him? He spoke and things came to existence. And we are struggling with a hard labor and opportunities and the gifts and everything, all the kind of things, and then if we get some increase, how does this compare to God? Does God need our increase?
He couldn't care less. He doesn't. Like, he's his own. Like, so how can this, whatever I got, whatever little that I have, how can this compare to the whole universe? How tell me, how? And not only that, whatever I gain, it was his in the beginning. So I gain on his goods that he gave it to me. I gain something. So how can that be mine? Yes.
Interestingly, in the verses here that we are given here, it says, honor God with a portion or increase of your substance. So what does it mean, honor? Honor means you hold in a high esteem. You really value someone. With how we manage our property and how we return to the Lord shows our respect for Him, acknowledgement of His supremacy.
Exactly.
Because as Brother Tim mentioned in the review lesson, the fundamental problem of the tree of knowledge of good and evil was man's assertion or attempt to be independent from God.
Yeah.
That's a fundamental sin. I, in myself, can have existence. I have wisdom. I know how to do things. You don't need God. That is the essence of rebellion, Satan's rebellion and our rebellion. So by this also we acknowledge, yes, God, you are the source. You have the wisdom. I entrust you.
And everything that I am.
Here in this lesson, we're talking about offerings, not about tithes. About tithes, we are kind of okay. But offerings are something where we show of free will how much we appreciate.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. Brother Jimmy wanted to say something, right?
It comes to mind, here I am, a finite individual, and I want to be able to understand infinite things. Do we really understand and know who we are serving?
Yeah.
This is the thing. When we talk about God, of course, there is the capital God, and then there is the lowercase God. The capitalized God is the one who is the creator of all things. There is no one else besides him. This is what makes him great. This is what makes him above everything else. And if I understand that he is the one who has put things deep in the earth, he has made the mountains strong, and the vastness of the universe, this is way beyond our understanding. And yet he is the one who is saying, what is man that thou art mindful of him? How small are we? And yet he recognizes us for who we are. How do we recognize him for who he is? This is the thing. And when we serve him with his means that he has given to us as stewards, what do we do with this? We show gratitude, we show love, and we show concerns because he has given us these things in the first place so we can give back to him.
Exactly. Thank you. I remember now my father has always said that we are sometimes reluctant to talk to God, to ask him to, just in everyday life need, just simple, small things. He said, many of us think, why God, you would not bother with this small thing, who am I to even mention this? Be careful. He cares about everything. Not only that, look, if you look at in every case and every example in the past, if you, like David and his friend, Joseph, Daniel, any of these great men, if you show respect and if you show that you care what he said, that you stand for what he made you for, then he will stand for you. Look, this is a two-way street. So in every small details, every small thing, everyday life, if you show that you recognize him, if you show that you depend on him, that you are his creation, then he will take care of you. So don't be afraid, don't be ashamed to say, Lord, today I have this and this problem. Please, don't be afraid to talk to him a small problem because he cares. That's the point that so anyway, let us go to, there is a note here, really good, but anyway. Money, this is a second part or the middle part of the note. Money is not ours. Houses and grounds, pictures and furniture, garments and luxuries do not belong to us. We are pilgrims, we are strangers. We have only a grant of those things that are necessary for health and life. So what that is, a grant, it is granted to us, it's given to us. Even the life itself. Our temporal blessings are given us in a trust to prove whether we can be entrusted with eternal riches. Remember the Adam and Eve. What was the purpose of this when the God created them? What did he tell them? I will give you this place to do what? To take care of this, so I can see if you're worth of my trust from the day one. And this is not change. It's the same thing for me and you. This all is given to us, so God can see, can we be trustful in our lives? So can we trust to give us all this? So in eternal riches. If we endure to the proving of God, then we shall receive that purchases possession which is to be our own, glory, honor, and immortality. See, now this is just a test. There's something that, are we worthy of this gift that He is willing to give it much, much more to His creation? So that is a test for each and every one of us. So second part, thank, free will, and trespass offerings. As Brother Walter just mentioned, these are all offerings. We talk about the offerings. So the question A is asking, what does the Bible teach us about giving? Okay, in Psalms. What are the givings? And the psalmist is asking himself, what shall I, give it to the Lord, right?
Here we have a text from David, right?
Mm-hmm.
What shall I render unto the Lord for all His benefits toward me? So he was remembering the benefits that God bestowed upon him. In the note, if you read carefully, we are told that offerings are appropriate when you see the God in a signal way acted in your life. I was sick, I was healed, I recovered. I was having a business opportunity and I moved, and it was, kind of a good income or whatsoever. A child gets into university,
Yes.
or completes a schooling education, gets a job. There are different instances when God blesses us and we recognize it's a very appropriate to acknowledge these moments and give offering because it came from God. So we know, each one knows for himself or herself when God intervened. So this is very pleasing to God, and God will bless us if we remember these things.
When we
remember Him.
Yes.
I remember when I was having through my life, I remember instances where God helped me. And and we know all of these things. So this is appropriate to give an offering. So they're different. There are thanks offerings, free will offerings, and they had also burnt offerings.
Yes. And then yes. So let's go further to question B. So this is the remembrance offering, like something that something good happened to you. So you giving God you're offering for something that he just to remember, to recognize that He gave it to you. So the question B is asking, why did Hezekiah see a need for reformation in Judah? So first of all, why they needed a reformation or something what was happening before Hezekiah? So he was reigning for 29 years. So by that you see that he was, kind of, good, in the eyes of God. So he was 25 years old when he started to reign, and he did what? What was the first? And in short, there is quite a bit of text there. Yes.
He looked into the house of God, and it was not in order. Abandoned, closed. It was abandoned, it was closed. So what the first thing what he did, he opened the house and called all the priests and all the Levites and basically, and what did he start first? He plead with them to sanctify themselves, to start work of restoration.
Yes.
And now this is it's interesting. Even this part, we are depending on God to restore us our right mind, to restore the relationship, to restore our kind of thinking and vision and everything else. Even for this, we need God's help in order to put things in the right order.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. So first he consecrate the Levites again. So when he finished this, then he said, now you're ready to do the sacrifice for the Israelites. And so what did they bring the offerings for? First was burnt offerings for congregation, right? For sins that they in the past they did. And it's telling us about how many bullocks, how many rams, how many, and then consecrated things. There were consecrated things. There were 600 oxen and 3,000 sheep. So for all these offerings that it was in the past, so they were trying to, what is the word I'm looking for? They were trying to not please the Lord, but just restore. They restore that they were doing this before. Recognize that they were wrong. They were wrong. What they were doing. So now we'll start from from the beginning, and then remember everything that God gave it to us. So we'll do better. We'll recognize everything, and we'll start more and more. This what are we told in our past that we should do, and then just restore this all the orders that it was before. Yes. Yes.
And this is actually that every offering should come from the heart.
Yes. Yeah,
So we should recognize God's work in our lives. It's very important.
Yeah,
If we don't have, I was talking to my children and just the other day, walking a little bit and talking. God is real. They have to understand, recognize God's intervention in different instances in our life. And then when you respond, because if you just give it as a duty and your heart is not there, that will not bring the blessing.
Exactly. I mean, we have that, the example of the two givers, in the church, the one is like, look at me, I did this. And it wasn't right, it wasn't wrong, and I was doing this. But why? Because it said over there, so I have to do it, and I will do it just to make myself righteous. That's not the right thing to do. Anyway, the notes I'm going to remind you again, it was really, they were really good. And then, okay, this is the last part of the note in the question to B. The Lord's messenger should not be handicapped in their work of holding forth the word of life. As they teach the truth, they should have means to invest for advancement of the work, which must be done at the right time in order to have the best and most saving influence. Deeds of mercy must be done. The poor and suffering must be aided. Gifts, is that the right one? Yes. So must be aided. Gifts and offerings should be appropriate for his purpose, especially in new fields where the standards of truth has never yet been uplifted. This work must be done. So he is talking about the messenger. Yes, the messenger should have the means to go to the new fields to be the gospel to be spread. So this means these free gifts or free wills. Yes.
David Zick said, look, you can plan as much as you want, but you cannot move far without some money. You cannot do any project.
Yeah.
You need funds, even basic things to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So the third part of the lesson, Levitical liberality. How has God combined duty and blessings? Okay, so duty and blessing. So how, this is well-known text there. I mean, don't be scared to so how do we combine this? Liberality means what? There's someone giving, right? Giving, and what's happening? His wealth is increasing. How's that working? How we can combine these two things? It doesn't make any sense. How do it work? I mean, first let me ask you: did you see this? Did you witness this? Absolutely, right? I'm sure you all. Some people are just blessed, right? Go ahead.
I know somebody, and he was sitting in a plane with one of the brothers that they own a large business renting those high-rise cranes. Mm-hmm. So those cranes are always rented. Nobody buys them for to build a building.
Yeah, exactly.
And each one is about from $1 million to $10 million. Those cranes, and they are renting them and whatever all the equipment. Now, they're Christians. And just briefly, his experience, they started off not being a Christians, and then they got to God and whatever in the transition. First, they owned the business, but then they started to say, well, look, we'll 10% gods, and then of course it's but they got convicted. Anyways, at the end, all the proceeds, all the income that they got, or all the surplus that they have, they were fully dedicating it to God, and themselves they're just taking their salaries and without anything, and from the point of this, he was saying he cannot express his blessings in his family comparing to the first part when they owned everything and they were using the money for themselves, comparing the blessings in the family now that they simply just take a simple salary, which was not much, $80,000 a year. So $80,000 is not, it's a decent salary, but it's not a big salary considering that you own a value of more than $100 million. And you know, he said, this is something that he can only experience, you cannot describe.
Okay. See, this is thank you. This is really good example of something that you know, we always think, you know, millions it will bring the you know, happiness. It will bring the. There is no happiness without the Lord. I know the other one. Yes, Brother Jim. Yes.
Gain, being satisfied where the Lord has put you, and He will supply all your needs. And it says here that a liberal soul will gain fat, and we can understand that if we're going to be stingy in our lives and withhold the things that carry eternal weight and glory, we are shorting ourselves because we're missing out on the greatest blessing there is. We can never outgive God, because in this there is always something coming back in return. What goes around comes around. If good things go up, they will come back to us.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. A conscious few made returns to God and of about 1/3 of all their income for the benefits of religious interests and for the poor. These exactions were not from a particular class of the people, but from the requirement being proportionate according to the amounts possessed. Whenever God's people in any period of the world have cheerfully and willingly carried out His plan in systematic benevolence and in gifts and offerings, they have realized the standing promise that prosperity should attend all their labor just in proportion as they obey His requirements. Any one of us who tests the Lord would and will experience this. If you test Him and if you are faithful to the Lord in this, He will bless us. He will bless us. You know, He said Himself, and He is not a liar. The Lord is never lied. So if we test Him, we will find this true. So question B, in making monetary pledges and vows, what must we never forget? So this is something that also is very serious. And it's not mentioned here, but there are, you know, examples, there are very serious examples about this. Yes.
Well, just, you know, there's several examples here.
Yes.
I just want to kind of say, every time we make a monetary pledge, there is an enemy who immediately comes to brings us stuff in our memory, how difficult times may be ahead, how difficult things are, you know, that we have done it in a impulse, and we are not real, and, and so that this is a real struggle, and this is why Bible is sort of making an extra accent here, that saying is, look, once you have made it, just remember under God's goodness and this moment in time that you have done it, and follow it through, because there will be enough obstacles, there will be enough of enemies throwing wrenches in the wheel, that there will be a reason to justify not to fulfill it. Yeah. But trust Him, just trust Him, because it will not because of your good math, not because of your good. There is no reason to give for a good math. It is only response to trusting and dedicating God full in face of losses that you enemy is bringing to your head.
Yeah, because see, in that moment when you were when you pledged to that, you know, you were God impressed you, you know, and you were willing to give. But okay, not that moment. So, but later on, the Satan started to work. You know, as you mentioned, he started to work. Well, maybe, you know. So don't change your mind. This moment, you were aware of something the Lord gave it to you. I mean, he bless you, and then continue with this. Don't. Yeah, exactly. Promise. Exactly. Jaromir was before, and then.
Sometimes we just get in a problem, right? Things jobs, and we just go there, or we are quick to say, "Oh God, help me! I will do those and those things for you," and things. Yeah, but we have to go and do those things. Yeah, there was one man who made foolish promise in the Bible, things, whatever come first and there, and he had to sacrifice his daughter because the things.
And his daughter came.
So we have to be careful what we're saying.
Exactly.
The things, but when we say something, we have to fulfill.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, so it says monetary and vows. I remember I was in trouble a few times, and I said, Lord, if you help me out of this, I will do this, that, and the other thing. And when I got out of it, I didn't keep my vow. I remember that. And another time, people, they pray for things, especially when their children are sick. They say, Lord, heal my child, and I will do this, that. And I remember we wanted a child. We prayed, and Lord, if you give us a child, we will do this, that. So we have this in front of us always, that we remember that vow. And I remind my wife, we said this and that to the Lord. So we need to, not just monetarily, but the vows that we make when our children are sick, when we are sick, and then we're relieved of that burden to keep the vows that we've made.
Thank you. So, fourth part of the lesson is the second tie. Now, this is a strange second tie. Ooh, what is this? We never heard of this, right? Second tie. So, in the Hebrew economy, what was the second tie and what was its purpose? So, it calls the second tie. Or what was the purpose of this special offering that it was done in specific time? So, who can elaborate a little bit more of this? What was the purpose? When was done? And how was done? The text is quite long, but anyway, so yes.
Yeah, here we are having this second tithe, which is in Deuteronomy. This is the repeated law.
Yes.
And thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed and field, bring it, and so on. Thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in the place which will choose, and the Lord Levite that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him, and of the tree thou shalt bring. Now the second tithe was primarily used to support the assemblies for sacred purposes, holy convocations, because there were poor people for whom traveling to place of gathering would be expensive. So you support that people attend religious services when the law of God was read, and also to help the poor.
Yes.
Now the Jewish people, interestingly, they have always cared for the poor in their community, even after they were not anymore chosen people. Even for the rabbis, they, faithful Jews, they always felt this is command, support. So God bless them. Even today, Jews are prosperous people. I mean, in general, and healthy in many ways. They are intellectually superior in many ways because health laws, from generation to generation. So this was instituted in the Old Testament, and today we do not necessarily implement it exactly, but it's good to remember this.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Well, don't forget, I always mention this, don't forget they had a country, they had the government to run. I mean, that was the government, like they had the, with this to run. So when Sister White mentioned 25% of their income, it was going, but that was for the Levites, for the poor, for the, for every, today we have taxes also. So this is like something that, exactly. So, but at that time, they had like I said, they had a country to run. Like that was purpose for that. Exactly. So that was purpose for that. So the question be, how did the second tithe benefit the giver in a spiritual sense, and in what ways can it be a blessing today? So here again, do not forget that giving is always blessing to the giver. This is a blessing. Exactly. Yeah. So what the Proverbs 19:17, what it says there. Brother Walter already mentioned this. Giving to the poor, you are giving to who? You landing, well, not giving, you landing. What is the difference? What it means? Exactly, so you're lending the money. And he says here, and which he had given will he pay him again. So he will come back to you again. So you cannot go poor by doing this. You're giving to the poor, and then it comes back to you. Yeah, Brother Yarmir.
From the New Testament, it's from James 1, 27. Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and the widows in their affliction and to keep himself unspotted from the world. So it's very important that we have that the people who are widows, people who are orphan, people who are sick need intention. You know. In his parable about who is my neighbor, Jesus portrayed who is my neighbor. Exactly. It does help us to keep the second commandment, to love our neighbor as ourselves.
Exactly.
I made one more thing, but this is
Thank you.
topic. Thank you. We do not understand how God's plan is the best plan for the whole economy. One of the reason for the cyclical crises, depressions, and in recessions in capitalist economy, is that a certain class of people extract extra wealth, take out from the market, put in their pockets, and then the economy slows down. Now, when you in the Jewish system, every 7th year forgiveness of debts, money is back in the system, and the economy is constantly. The land is returned every 50 years. So God made perfect plans how to keep the whole society prosperous.
Exactly.
And today, greed is bringing,
All right, so the fifth part of the lesson, giving in the right spirit. Now, this is also very important. The last portion over here is very important. What should we realize in giving to God's cause? What should we realize? This is a story of Jesus sitting over there and looking the people giving the money. So he saw the poor widow giving 2 mites. Right? It's really, yes, Brother Jim.
The widow gave all that she had, no matter how much it was everything that she had, and that was more than what all the others had who had everything. And so we must understand that we should be a cheerful giver, not one who is begrudging to give back to the Lord, but one who wants to give all that they can possibly, because in return it's like shaken together, pressed down, and overflowing. This is the principle that God gives to a cheerful giver.
Exactly. Thank you. So with someone who has, millions, hundreds of millions, giving, cheerfully, around, and then he's getting 40% of this back again because he give it to charity, right? So how's that, he's just giving so he can get more money back. That's all the reason is for. And publicity, right? So you see, there is many ways, bro.
It's written here in Deuteronomy. The concept is still every man should give according what he can give. So when this concept falls apart, then you come to ideas like a temple tax. Everybody that goes to a temple pays the tax, whatever. Let's say somehow value how much you put into the plate. Who puts how much and whatever, and so on, or some whatever. Even I had a problem with this cleaning fee per whatever, all kinds of stuff. Concept from God is everybody gives as much he can give, and if we accept this. And if we accept this, that I am blessed more, that I should give more, not to look how much other person gives because he has less, or he gives less, I can give less. No. We look towards God and say, God, you has blessed me. More as I give, it's my response to thee, what you has done for me.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. This is the second part of the question. How can we determine the amount of fruit, that we should give? It's clear. It says every man shall give as he is able. That's the very simple solution. If you are able more, you give more, and you'll be blessed more. Simple solution. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, but also we have to be this is regarding toward God. What about our fellow brethren? Somebody give us favor. Somebody give us good, and we say just a thank you and okay, bye and things. Yeah, is it right? We should love ourselves not just with words, and things. Yeah, this way we practice those things. If we fail in this point, we will not be so faithful to be to be giving toward the God as well. So it is very important. If somebody do something good to us, our parents say what you should say, what you should do, right? Things, yeah. And we have to practice those things from the little age, when you are small, and after we will be great blessing.
Thank you. So in the note it says, how much owes thou unto my Lord? It is impossible to tell. how much we owe to the Lord? Well, everything, right? We owe him everything. All that we have is from God. He lays his hand upon our possessions, saying, I am the rightful owner of the whole universe. These are my goods. Consecrate to me the tithes and offerings. As you bring these specified goods as a token of your loyalty and your submission to my sovereignty, my blessing shall increase your substance, and you will have abundance. This is in short, the whole lesson. Just bless others or give others, and then you will be blessed. So. What attitude would the Lord have each of us manifest when giving? So this is something that also we mentioned before. What is the attitude that we all should have when we are giving? This well-known text from 2 Corinthians. Yes, Brother Albert.
Said here the verse, who sows sparingly, he will
Reap sparingly.
Right, and we have to understand that it's everything Lord's. And whatever we're giving, he doesn't take. He still lives here and helps poor and helps to spread the message and helps that people could get salvation. He doesn't take it because he doesn't need it. He owns everything.
Yeah.
But just helping us, our selfish character to be changed, that we could have part in his mission, and that we could have part in salvation of other people.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Here in text also is telling us that, whatever we give, whatever your right hands give, your left hands should know. So don't trumpet all around, oh, I give this, I give that. No, we should not do this. So the Lord does not need our offerings. This is something that we established this. We cannot enrich him by our gifts, say the psalmist. All things come from thee, and of thine own have we given thee. Yet God permits us to show our appreciation to him. He permits us to show our appreciation of his mercy by self-sacrificing efforts to extend the same to others. This is the only way in which it is possible for us to manifest our gratitude and love to God. He has provided no others. So what is our only means or our only way to show the gratitude? To give him back whatever we received. We just to show to others around us and to God, give it back. So may the Lord help us to understand that great way that he has established his own earth. This is a simple law, simple rule, but it's very, very effective that, if we follow it, we should be blessed. Yes, may the Lord help us in this. Amen.